got nothing against gay people, but it's so sad that I can't find not one show damn near. Well, it's probably a couple, but I could barely find any shows for my kids to watch because there's gay shit all up in here. I don't want my son looking at a man on a TV screen and he has on makeup. I promise, like, it's not nothing against y'all, but I just don't like it. Even my daughters, I don't want them seeing that shit either. That's confusing. Kids should just be kids. Let them grow up and figure out what they want to do. Like, why put that shit in their face like that? I feel like that's just really weird. I don't know. That's just weird to me.
Okay, so this is not only just super, like, a very touchy and complex issue that I cannot even completely express in, like, a single video, but I'm going to try to do it as best as I can. But this is also kind of frustrating and super hypocritical, especially coming from the Black community when it comes to this issue of children and exposure to the LGBT community or whatever. Now let me just get some key points clear. I do not support like inappropriate exposure to content in front of children, regardless if it's featuring LGBTQ plus individuals or characters or straight characters or individuals. I support child appropriate conversations and exposures to these topics, especially when it comes to things like romance and relationship. I do not support adult oriented conversations and like developmentally inappropriate subjects to children. There. I made myself clear on that. That being said, the exposure of the mere existence of LGBTQ plus individuals, and even in some cases characters of certain shows, is not innately harmful to children. Like, you talk about like it's being shoved in your face and all that blah blah blah, but it's like there's a plethora, way more shows that don't have this type of exposure for children. So what the fuck you mean? Second of all, like, I find it extremely hypocritical, again, talking about, even though this specific topic is not exclusive to the Black community, it's especially hypocritical when it's coming from members of the Black community, because they are the least caring about children and their exposures to certain content. Like, you're perfectly fine having your kids being exposed to degenerate rap music, degenerate rap videos, just degenerate videos in general with adult content, especially pertaining to like Black entertainment, trashy reality TV shows, like adult-oriented, like live streamers, entertainers, content creators, all that stuff. But LGBTQ plus stuff is where you draw the line. Like, what is your priorities here? Because you support having children outside of wedlock, being recklessly irresponsible with your reproduction, just relying on government subsidies and all that stuff. And you're also blatantly disregarding your children's overall well needs, like making sure that their education is in check, keeping check with their homework, making sure that they're not being associated with like bad kids, all that stuff. You're not doing any of that due diligence. But you have the audacity to judge when it comes to LGBTQ plus stuff. Like, this cherry picking is so wild to me. Not to mention the conversation of like, let kids be kids. Like, you follow that advice yourself. You don't want kids to be kids. You want them to align with traditional gender roles. You made it clear in your video specifically. You don't want your son to be exposed to guys who put on makeup, but you want your son to just be a kid. Like, do you realize that there are kids that have hobbies and interests that do not align with traditional gender norms? Like, your son might have an interest in things that are traditionally feminine. And likewise, your daughter might have interests in things that are traditionally masculine. Because your kids are still kids. They're not men. They're not women. They're kids. Like, this stuff is not deeply rooted in them completely. You are socially conditioning them to value different things and pursue different interests based on your approval. How are you not getting that? If you really want your kids to be kids, let them organically build their interests. Let them organically lead to their favorite activities and how they express themselves. As long as it's child appropriate, of course, but still. your son, your little son, being interested in things like, Barbie or playing houses and stuff is not going to kill him. It's not going to hurt him. Like, your fixation with your son being a traditional masculine man just completely contradicts your point of let kids be kids. You follow your own advice. Let kids be actual kids. You say that you don't have any beef with the gay people, but you treat them like they're a disease when it comes to topics around your children. Like, these gay people are going to sit there and like talk about gay sex in front of your kids, or that they're going to try to convert your kids into being one of them. That's not how that works. Like, you're one of these people who legitimately believes that sexual orientation can just be changed, or that it's a social contagion. No. Your kids are most likely prepubescent based on how you describe them in your videos. So of course, they're not going to be like doing super weird shit unless they're being taught that, or that they learned it elsewhere, which that to an extent, like, I can understand you need to make sure to check that they're not exposed to anything weird or inappropriate, and that's fine. But this whole treating gay people like they're cooties for kids, it screams ignorance. And that's just very much pervasive, especially once again in the Black community. Like, this is one of the things where Black people have to take a nail on. Like, y'all are substantially, even to this day, more homophobic, more anti-LGBT than white people in America. Like, I have to say it here. Like, white people are more accepting of the community and more understanding and more knowledgeable on these groups of people, way more than the Black community ever was. Like, if you really want to censor your children from any type of like conversations of romance or love or couples, like, hold the same standard for straight people as well. Find TV shows that don't talk about romance or coupling up regardless of sexual orientation. Keep the same standard. Because even if you isolate your children away from like the LGBT stuff, when they grow up, they're going to be exposed from it at one point, as most likely in real life too, because same-sex couples exist in real life, and families with same-sex couple parents exist, just like how single-parent house units exist. We stop stigmatizing these types of family units, like the single-parent household, the divorced parent household, interracial couples, adoptive parents. Like, we stop stigmatizing that, but you want to continue to stigmatize same-sex couple parents because, like, there are children that have parents who are part of the community, older relatives or siblings who are part of the community, friends whose families or relatives, or the friends themselves being part of the community, or neighbors. Like, they're going to be exposed to it at some point, one day or the other. Like, to me, it just screams like you don't want to educate your kids on these subjects. Like, you just want them to avoid it altogether. But that's not how the real world works. And this is just a general message, not just to her, but to all parents who think and act like this. You cannot avoid and censor every single thing that you don't like about all the real world around children, because when they grow up, they're going to be exposed to it in one way or the other. And you are inevitably just contributing to homophobia and discrimination towards that community by ostracizing and othering them and treating them like they're something that needs to be hidden from society. Like, whether or not you intentionally doing that or not, that's what's happening. You're creating a more stigmatization, which contributes to, again, bullying and harassment of these groups of people, especially teenagers who are part of the community too, because, again, sexuality is not a choice. Like, sexuality develops around puberty, regardless if you're straight or not. That is the science. Like, you can't deny that anymore, and you can't use religion as an excuse to hide that, especially if you're part of the Black community, again, because you're a hypocrite. You don't follow the religion, like, through and through. So, don't give me that. If you would like to make a donation, please check out the QR code or the link in the video description for my PayPal account. Thank you very much.